Nothing happens by chance. Perhaps that's the simplest yet most unsettling statement you'll hear today, because if nothing happens by chance, then every outcome you've experienced so far, every victory, every failure, every overdue bill, and every coincidence, was attracted by you. It's strange to consider, isn't it? The mind immediately tries to deny it. That can't be. I would never choose to suffer, lose, be betrayed, or fail. But the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to the vibration you emit. Everything is energy. Absolutely everything. Your body, the air, the chair you're sitting on, the money you desire, and even opportunities that seem to appear out of thin air. All of them are attracted by frequency. And your frequency is determined by what you feel, think, and believe most consistently. Nothing external happens before it happens within you. I remember when I still worked as a firefighter. I earned about a few $1,000s a year and believed that was the most I could ever achieve. I saw no way out. One day, a man named Raymond Stanford handed me a book, Think and Grow Rich. I had no idea those pages would change everything. They made me realize something that remains the foundation of everything I teach today. It's not the world that shapes you. It's you who shapes the world through your vibration. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have almost magical luck? Everything they do seems to flow. Doors open at just the right moment. Opportunities appear when they need them most. And yet, there are others who, no matter how hard they try, always seem to be swimming against the current. The truth is, this has nothing to do with luck, destiny, or coincidence. Life doesn't roll the dice. It merely reflects what each person is energetically emitting. Nothing that happens is random. Everything is a vibrational response. Most people live as if things happen to them, but the reality is that everything happens because of them. There is a law that governs this, a law as precise as gravity. You don't see it, but it never fails. It has no favorites, it doesn't judge, reward, or punish. It simply responds to the vibration you consistently hold. Think of yourself as a living antenna, emitting a frequency with every thought, every emotion, every belief you nourish. And the universe, like a perfect radio station, returns exactly the same type of energy. If you are vibrating with fear, the universe responds with situations that reinforce fear. If you are vibrating with confidence, it returns experiences that sustain confidence. I experienced this firsthand before understanding what was truly happening. There were days when I'd wake up tired, frustrated, thinking about everything I didn't have, everything that was missing, and without realizing it, I'd spend the entire day creating more reasons to feel exactly that. Nothing would go right. Traffic would worsen, people would be ruder, and even my body felt heavier. It was as if the whole world was conspiring against me, but the world wasn't against me. I was the one emitting the wrong signal. I was tuned into scarcity, and the obedient universe sent me more of it. You see, the universe doesn't understand words, it understands vibration. You can repeat, "I want prosperity" 1,000 times, but if deep inside you there's worry, anxiety, and distrust, that's what it will pick up. It doesn't respond to what you say you want, but to what you feel you are. That's why it's useless to say, "I believe," if inwardly there's a constant fear of failure. This energetic contradiction creates noise in the signal and impedes the natural flow of abundance. Now stop and think for a moment. How many times have you tried to change something in your life? A job, a relationship, a financial situation, only to end up back at the same point? This happens because you tried to change the effect, not the cause. The cause is always in the vibration. What we see on the outside is merely a reflection of what vibrates within. It's like looking in a mirror and trying to change your reflection without changing your facial expression. It's impossible. The mirror merely reflects. The universe does the same. It's interesting to note that even science is getting closer and closer to this truth. Research in quantum physics shows that the observer alters the behavior of particles simply by observing them. This means that consciousness, the way you perceive and feel something, literally changes the outcome. Every thought is a wave, every emotion a frequency, and when you repeatedly maintain a vibrational pattern, that pattern materializes in the form of circumstances. But there's something more subtle here. Vibration isn't measured by what you think occasionally, but rather by what you feel constantly. A brief emotion has little creative power, but a sustained emotion transforms into a magnetic field. If you spend a good portion of your time complaining, worrying, afraid of losing what you have, it's no surprise that your life reflects instability. The universe is merely fulfilling its role, mirroring the energetic field you feed every single day. The human mind, however, is so powerful that it can change this in seconds. The problem is that most people don't use this ability consciously. They allow circumstances to dictate their feelings instead of using feelings to change circumstances. And that's where the great trap lies. When you react to what you see, you are reinforcing what you see. When you feel gratitude even before you see the change, you are creating the change. I recall a time when everything seemed to go wrong. I was trying to expand my business, but nothing was flowing. Bills piled up, opportunities vanished, and I began to wonder if it had just been luck in the beginning. One day, sitting alone in the empty office, I realized I was vibrating fear, guilt, and frustration. I looked inward and thought, if the universe is a mirror, this is what it's showing me. So I closed my eyes and changed the image. I began to feel gratitude for what didn't yet exist. I visualized my business prospering, saw happy people working with me, felt the confidence and security of someone who had already succeeded. Within a few days, new contracts started to emerge. It was at that moment I deeply understood what had previously been just an idea. Chance doesn't exist. The return is always exact to the vibration emitted. Therefore, every situation you are experiencing now, good or bad, is merely an energetic response to something you have vibrated before. There are no mistakes, no victims, no coincidences. There is only frequency and correspondence. When you understand this, something changes within you. The feeling of powerlessness disappears. Because you realize that if you unconsciously created an undesirable reality, you can consciously create an extraordinary one. So the next time something goes wrong, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what within me is vibrating in alignment with this? That question changes everything, because it takes power away from circumstances and returns it to the place it should never have left, within you. The universe doesn't get addresses wrong. Everything that comes to you arrives because it is on the same frequency as what you maintain internally. And the most fascinating thing is that merely changing your vibration is enough for all of reality to begin reorganizing itself around that new frequency. This is law. This is the truth behind everything you call chance. It took me years to understand that we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. This is one of the most powerful and at the same time, most challenging truths that exist. Because you see, desiring something is easy. Everyone desires a better life, more money, more love, more health, more peace. But the universe doesn't respond to desire, it responds to vibration. And vibration isn't born from what you want, it's born from what you feel you are. If deep down you see yourself as limited, unworthy, or incapable, that's what your frequency emits, and that's what the universe returns. When I started my first business, I had absolutely nothing. No experience, no degree, no investment. I was just an ex-firefighter with a dream and a mental image that wouldn't leave me alone. I saw myself running a successful company, saw employees working with me, saw concrete results. And most importantly, I felt it as if it were already real. I felt the pride, gratitude, and confidence of someone who had already achieved it. Every day I fueled that image with emotion, and that's what changed everything. In less than 1 year, I was earning over $100,000. It wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it was vibration. People ask me what I did to get there, and I always say, what I did was a consequence of what I became. The world doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energetic identity. You can't pretend to be something on the outside if, on the inside, you're vibrating the opposite. It's like trying to tune into a classical music station while on a rock frequency. You can turn the radio dial as much as you want, but only when you precisely align the frequency will the correct sound appear. Many people say, I want prosperity, but vibrate scarcity. I want love, but vibrate loneliness. I want health, but vibrate fear. The difference lies in the energy that sustains the desire. Desiring is mental, but vibrating is emotional. And it's the feeling that creates the magnetic field, not isolated thought. When you think about money, for example, the universe doesn't pick up the words, "I want money." It picks up the emotion you feel when thinking about it. If the feeling is one of worry, the signal you send is one of lack. And the universe, obedient as always, responds with more experiences that confirm this lack. I've seen people work hard, save, and strive to change their lives, and yet still remain in the same place. Because within them, the vibration of limitation still exists. They desire the new, yet they resonate with the old. They long for success, but identify with failure. They seek opportunities, yet anticipate rejection. And that's precisely the crux of the matter. The universe doesn't grant you what you ask for. It mirrors what you believe yourself to be. There was a time when I myself felt trapped. Even earning more money than ever before, I still carried a feeling of unworthiness within me. It was as if a part of me whispered, "You haven't studied enough. You're not good enough." And without realizing it, this vibration of doubt began to manifest in my results. Things stopped flowing, clients drifted away, and I felt utterly exhausted. It was only when I recognized this vibrational self-sabotage that everything shifted. I stopped trying to have more and started being more. I began to affirm, feel, and act as someone who truly deserved it. And the universe responded. This is something I observe happening to many people. They spend years trying to change their results, but rarely do they change their self-image. Your external life is merely a reflection of your internal image. If within you there are beliefs of scarcity, inferiority, or guilt, these beliefs shape your frequency. And no matter how hard you work, if the vibration is still one of limitation, the universe cannot deliver something you are not tuned in to receive. A clear example of this is seen in people who suddenly win prizes, inheritances, or fortunes. They receive a vast amount of money, but within a short time, they return to square one. Why? Because their vibrational pattern is still the same. The money arrived, but their identity had not changed. Their internal vessel was not prepared to hold that abundance. Prosperity is not an event, it is a state of being. Vibration is the language of creation. Everything you are, what you feel, and what you believe translates into a frequency that echoes out to the universe. If you believe you are worthy, capable, and abundant, that energy propagates and begins to attract people, opportunities, and circumstances that reflect this belief. And the reverse is also true. When you feel insufficient, reality responds with experiences that confirm that insufficiency. Now imagine what would happen if you began to see yourself as someone who is already accomplished, not as someone who will achieve, but as someone who already is. Your body would react differently, your posture would change, your voice would have more conviction, and even the way people perceive you would transform. This is because the universe makes no distinction between the real and the imagined when the emotion is authentic. The brain doesn't know the difference between something experienced and something vividly felt. And that's where the magic begins, when you internally live the reality you desire before it externally exists. I always say, you don't need to chase your dreams, you need to align with them. When your vibration becomes compatible, the path forms, coincidences multiply. The right opportunities emerge at the perfect time. Because everything in harmony vibrates together. This is the law. The secret is not to pursue, but to allow. And to allow is to be. So ask yourself, what am I being in this moment? Not what am I wanting, but what am I vibrating as truth about myself? Because that is precisely what the universe will reflect back. You don't attract what you desire. You attract what you believe yourself to be. And when you change what you are, you inevitably change what comes. Everything you feel is a command. Every emotion you hold within you sends a clear and precise message to the universe about what you are creating. And the universe, being absolutely neutral, merely responds to this vibrational command. It doesn't analyze whether what you feel is good or bad, fair or unfair. It simply replicates the frequency you emit. Feeling is the language of creation, and it is through it that you shape your reality. When you deeply understand this, you begin to realize how powerful your emotions are. They are far more than simple reactions. They are creative forces. Fear, guilt, anger, all possess a dense vibration, attracting situations compatible with that density. Conversely, gratitude, trust, love, and joy have elevated vibrations, which is why people who cultivate these feelings seem to have a lighter life, with more fluidity, synchronicity, and opportunities. This is not coincidence. It is vibrational physics in action. There was a time when I believed that thinking positively would be enough. I forced myself to say, "It's going to work out." But deep down, I felt doubt. I repeated phrases of prosperity while my true emotion was worry. And the result was always the same. Nothing happened. That's when I understood that the universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to the emotional vibration behind them. If I affirm, "I'm okay," with fear in my heart, the command the universe picks up is the fear, not the words. The universe doesn't understand spoken language, it understands felt language. There is an immense difference between thinking about abundance and feeling abundant. Thinking is mental, feeling is vibrational. Thought creates the image, feeling gives life to the image. Without emotion, a thought is merely an idea floating in the air. But when a thought is enveloped by the right emotion, it gains enough energetic density to manifest. It's as if emotion were the electrical current that illuminates the lamp of creation. Modern science confirms this. Studies conducted by Harvard have shown that positive emotions such as gratitude and optimism activate regions of the brain responsible for creativity, decision-making, and physical well-being. This means that the way you feel literally changes how your brain functions. Feelings of joy and confidence expand your field of perception and make you more receptive to opportunities. Conversely, feelings of fear and scarcity close the mind, narrow vision, and place you in a state of survival, where everything seems limited. That's why, when you are in fear, your world shrinks. When you are in gratitude, your world expands. I remember a situation that deeply impacted me. During one of the most challenging periods of my life, I felt financially cornered. Debts piled up, and I saw no way out. One night, sitting at my table, I thought, I cannot keep vibrating fear. So I closed my eyes and began to feel gratitude, even without a reason. I gave thanks for the air, for my body, for being alive, for still having a mind capable of imagining something new. At first it felt forced, but I persisted, and something curious happened. After a few minutes, the feeling shifted from false to real. I truly began to feel gratitude. It was one of the most liberating experiences of my life. In the following days, opportunities started to appear. People I hadn't seen for years contacted me with proposals. Doors began to open, and no, it wasn't a coincidence. It was vibration. Emotions are like radio waves. If you want to listen to tranquil music, you need to tune into the correct frequency. There's no point complaining that the rock station is playing if you remain tuned to it. You need to change the dial. And in life, it's the same thing. You cannot expect peace while emitting irritation. You cannot expect prosperity while vibrating scarcity. Everything is responding to your emotional state. That's why I say feeling is the command. It's what sends the signal to the quantum field. You can repeat affirmations for hours, but if within you there's tension, anger, or fear, the universe will only pick up on that. Have you ever tried smiling without a reason and noticed your body starting to respond? That's proof that you can choose what to feel. It's not about denying what exists. It's about consciously choosing what you wish to sustain. Do you want to prosper? Then start feeling prosperous before you see any results. Do you want to be loved? Start vibrating love before you find someone. Do you want health? Start feeling vitality before your body fully recovers. Feeling precedes the fact. First you feel, then you see. This is the natural path of manifestation. The problem is that most people do the opposite. They wait to see in order to feel. They wait for money to arrive to feel secure. They wait for love to appear to feel loved. They wait for success to happen to feel confident. But the universe works in the opposite way. You need to feel first, because it is the feeling that creates the reality that will allow you to see the result. Emotions are energy in motion. And like any energy, they can be transformed. Fear can be transmuted into courage, anxiety into positive expectation, doubt into faith. Everything depends on where you decide to place your focus. In every moment, you have the power to choose what you feel, and that choice is what changes the course of your life. So the next time something irritates you, or you feel stuck in a negative cycle, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and observe what you are feeling. Ask yourself, is this emotion moving me towards what I want or away from it? If it's moving you away, change it. Change it consciously. Don't wait for the world to change first. When you change the feeling, you change the vibration. And when the vibration changes, reality reorganizes itself. This is the secret that so many people ignore. It's not the isolated thought that creates. It's the sustained feeling that molds. The universe responds to your dominant emotion. Therefore, if you want to change what you experience, change what you feel. Feel now what you desire to live and observe, slowly, silently, in an almost imperceptible way, the world beginning to respond to your new command. Everything you experience on the outside is merely a reflection of what vibrates on the inside. The world is a mirror, and it does not lie. It returns precisely what you most consistently feel, think, and believe. The reality you perceive as my life is in truth a direct manifestation of your prevailing energetic vibration. This is precisely why countless individuals relocate, switch careers, or end relationships, only to consistently encounter the identical core challenges, albeit with new faces and different labels. Fundamentally, the reflection in the mirror remains unaltered until the source image transforms. Consider someone gazing into a mirror, noticing a weary expression, and then attempting to fix that reflection by manipulating the glass, wiping its surface, or trying to compel the mirror to display a more favorable image. This endeavor is futile. The reflection will only shift when the face itself changes. Life operates on this exact principle. Endeavoring to alter external circumstances without first transforming your internal state is akin to mending a reflection without ever touching its origin. What you perceive around you is invariably a consequence of who you are within. For a considerable period, I too failed to grasp this fundamental truth. My conviction was that I needed to exert more effort, work harder, and that the root of any issue lay externally. Consequently, whenever things went awry, I would pivot my strategy, change my surroundings, or seek out culprits. Yet, the outcomes consistently remained the same. I failed to recognize that the true arena of struggle resided within me. The moment this realization dawned, everything became strikingly clear. I had been striving to alter the effect while leaving the underlying cause untouched. You can witness this phenomenon across all facets of life. An individual might leave a job where they felt unappreciated and secure another, only to find the identical sentiment resurfacing after a while. Why? Because their vibrational frequency still resonates with a sense of unworthiness. They might end one relationship, embark on a new one, and then observe the same relational dynamics inexplicably repeating themselves. This occurs because the underlying vibrational pattern has not shifted. The energy they perpetually emit continues to draw experiences that validate their deepest held convictions. The universe makes no discernment between right and wrong. It simply mirrors. If fear resides within you, the world will manifest as a menacing place. If confidence is your inner state, the world will appear teeming with possibilities. Everything hinges on the vibrational filter through which you perceive reality. It's akin to wearing tinted spectacles. If the lenses are red, everything will predictably appear red. You can argue with the world, complain about the colors, blame others endlessly, but nothing will fundamentally change until you remove those glasses. Many people mistakenly believe they need to alter the behavior of others to attain happiness. They desire their partner to change, their boss to change, the government to change, even the weather to change. Yet the genuine power of transformation lies in something far simpler and much closer to home. It resides in shifting one's own vibration. When you modify the energy with which you respond to situations, those situations, in turn, alter their response to you. This is because a mirror can only ever reflect what is presented before it. I recall a period when I was navigating immense stress. Everything seemed to unravel simultaneously. Business stagnated, debts mounted, and obligations piled up. I was utterly consumed by frustration. One day it struck me that every morning I woke up with my mind fixed on the difficulties. It was the very first thought that entered my consciousness, and this was precisely the energy I was broadcasting. So, I resolved to undertake an experiment. Instead of dwelling on the problems, I began to focus on what was functioning. I mentally expressed gratitude for every small thing that was still going well. The hot coffee, the roof over my head, my health. Initially, it felt rather absurd. However, within a mere few days, I observed something truly remarkable. My energetic state shifted, and as my energy transformed, people started to respond to me in entirely new ways. I received unexpected calls, invitations, and opportunities that appeared to materialize out of thin air. Yet nothing came from nowhere. It originated from the mirror that changed, because the image presented to it had changed. This is the crucial insight almost no one truly comprehends. The world isn't merely happening to you, it's unfolding from you. Everything you observe is an extension of your unique vibration. When you embody love, you begin to perceive an abundance of reasons to love. Conversely, when you harbor fear, you start to identify more reasons to be afraid. The mirror simply magnifies what you are already holding within. There's a saying I often reiterate: you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. This implies that as long as you continue to vibrate at the frequency of scarcity, abundance will be unable to manifest for you, not because it doesn't exist, but because you are simply not tuned in to perceive it. It's comparable to trying to tune into a radio station broadcasting at 105.7 megahertz, while your dial is set to 97.3 megahertz. The signal is undoubtedly being transmitted, but you won't be able to hear it until you align your receiver. Consequently, when you fundamentally shift how you feel, the universe promptly begins to realign events to mirror this nascent internal state. Often individuals anticipate dramatic signs, but the initial indications of change are subtle. They manifest as minor occurrences, a challenge that resolves with greater ease, a kind person serendipitously crossing your path, or an insightful idea emerging at precisely the opportune moment. These are not mere coincidences, they are instances of vibrational correspondence. Life is not some arbitrary force haphazardly tossing you around. Rather, it is an incessant response to your unique vibration. You serve as both the emitter and the receiver. The world merely functions as the screen onto which your energy is projected. Therefore, if what is being displayed does not resonate with you, do not fault the screen, instead alter the film. And that film is composed of your thoughts, feelings, and core beliefs. The instant you truly grasp this, an undeniable sense of empowerment and liberation begins to blossom within you. You recognize that there's no need to contend with the reflection, no requirement to attempt to control external circumstances, other individuals, or even the passage of time. All that is truly necessary is to internally align yourself with what you aspire to witness externally. It's a subtle inner endeavor, yet profoundly transformative. For when your vibration undergoes a shift, reality is left with no alternative but to transform in kind. The mirror is unfailingly accurate. It is precise, candid, and impersonal. Consequently, nothing that transpires in your life is inherently unjust. It is merely coherent. Every single outcome serves as a living testament to the vibration you have sustained. If you desire a different reflection, do not implore the mirror to change. Offer a smile first. We have been conditioned to place our belief solely in what our eyes can perceive, what our hands can touch, and what our ears can hear. We were instructed that true reality comprises only that which is tangible, measurable, and provable. Yet the profound truth is that everything existing in the physical world first originated in the invisible realm. Absolutely everything. Every building, every groundbreaking invention, every brilliant concept, every remarkable achievement, before coalescing into matter, each was merely a thought, an image, a sustained vibration held by someone who believed in it, even without any external validation. Visible reality is simply the printed outcome of the unseen world. Envision a photographer with a vintage camera. What ultimately appears in the photograph is merely a reproduction of the negative held within the apparatus. If that negative is blurred, the resulting image will likewise be indistinct. If it is clear and sharp, the photograph will be flawless. However, the common pitfall for most individuals is attempting to fix the photograph after it has been developed, striving to mend what is visibly apparent without recognizing that the true transformative power resides within the negative. Life mirrors this process precisely. Physical reality serves as the photographic paper, while your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and deeply held beliefs constitutes the negative. The challenge, regrettably, is that hardly anyone learns how to properly adjust that negative. I have personally experienced this countless times. Whenever circumstances were unfavorable, my gaze would turn outward, and I would endeavor to alter what I observed. My job, my environment, the people around me. Yet no matter how much I rearranged the scenery, the underlying pattern invariably recurred. This was because the scenery was merely the consequence, not the originating cause. The perceptible world is like an old photograph, a delayed record of what you have already internally fashioned. What you genuinely feel today, what you profoundly believe now, is precisely what will materialize tomorrow. Grasping this insight profoundly transforms your entire way of living. The majority of people attempt to change their lives by merely reacting to what they perceive. They scrutinize their bank account balance and are overcome with fear. They examine their physique and feel a surge of frustration. They consider their relationships and experience a profound sense of loneliness. And unwittingly, they actively reinforce precisely what they wish to avoid. This is because emotion serves as the fuel for creation. When you intensely feel a lack, you are effectively communicating to the universe. My vibration resonates with the frequency of absence, and the universe, in turn, simply reflects back more absence. I distinctly recall a period when I, myself, fell prey to this very trap. I would meticulously examine my company's financial figures and perceive only insurmountable problems. Each day I awoke plagued by worry about the bills, feeling tense and mentally reiterating, "This simply cannot go on like this." Yet everything persisted in precisely that manner. Then one day, I realized I was attempting to alter the reflection without shifting the underlying vibration. So I resolved to undertake an entirely different approach. Instead of focusing on what wasn't working, I began to vividly envision what it would feel like when everything was flowing effortlessly. I immersed myself in sensations of relief, prosperity, and security. And then something truly extraordinary began to unfold. Without any forced effort on my part, new clients started to emerge, opportunities presented themselves, and, little by little, the overall picture began to transform. It is crucial to understand that the invisible is not synonymous with the unreal. In fact, quite the opposite is true. The unseen realm is what gives rise to the tangible. What you perceive with your physical eyes is merely the conclusive stage of a process. It is what has already reached its culmination. If your desire is to alter the future, you must direct your efforts to where creation genuinely originates, within you. It is in that silent, unseen expanse, accessible only to you, that everything takes form. Modern physics has unequivocally demonstrated that all matter constitutes energy vibrating at varying frequencies. And if everything is indeed energy, then what you term physical reality is nothing more than condensed energy, meticulously shaped by your consciousness. This implies that when you focus intently on what you desire with profound emotional clarity, you are quite literally reconfiguring the energetic field surrounding you. You are, in essence, issuing precise instructions to the universe regarding what ought to manifest into visibility. However, here lies a crucial detail that most people tend to overlook. Human consciousness possesses an inherent inclination to cling to what is already established. It anchors itself to existing evidence, and this reliance on visual proof perpetuates a self-reinforcing, often detrimental cycle. For when your belief system is solely predicated on what you can physically observe, you inevitably restrict your ability to create anything beyond the mere replication of what already exists. It's like driving with your eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. You keep repeating the past, even if you want to move towards a different future. I often compare this to a thermostat. If the environment gets cold, the thermostat turns on the heater to restore balance. Your vibration works the same way. When you focus on something negative and feel intense emotion about it, your inner thermostat tries to rebalance. But if you persist in that dense emotion, you keep your inner environment frozen. And as long as your inside is cold, the outside world will continue to reflect that coldness. Some people say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But the true creators of the world have always lived the opposite. I see it because I believe it. Edison saw the light bulb before he lit it. The Wright brothers felt flight before they got the airplane off the ground. Steve Jobs visualized the iPhone before there was enough technology to produce it. They lived the invisible as if it were already real, and the invisible became real. You can do this too. The secret is to start treating the invisible with more importance than the visible. When something doesn't exist yet, it's at that stage that you have the greatest power over it. It's in this space that you can mold, adjust and strengthen the image with emotion and intention. The visible world is slow, dense, and already solidified. The invisible is fast, malleable, and entirely yours. Everything begins within. If you want to change the reflection, don't fight with the mirror. Close your eyes and change the inner image. Create the feeling that corresponds to the life you wish to live. Feel now what you would feel if you had already achieved it. Your work is not to force matter, it's to mold energy. And when the energy changes, matter has no choice but to obey. This is the true art of conscious creation. It's the ability to see beyond what your eyes show, to trust in the invisible, to understand that reality is born from within. When you master this, the impossible ceases to exist, because the impossible is merely something that hasn't yet been imagined with enough force. Everything that is visible today was once invisible, and everything you wish to see already exists, merely waiting for you to see it first, not with your eyes but with your vibration. There's a point in the journey where you need to stop thinking, stop planning, stop waiting for conditions to be perfect, and simply decide. It's the decision that changes everything. Not a timid decision, not a decision full of maybes, but an absolute vibrational decision that creates a new timeline of reality. Life responds with power when you decide with conviction. It's at that instant that the universe begins to move in your favor, opening paths that once seemed invisible. Indecision is one of the most paralyzing vibrations that exist because it sends a confusing signal. One moment you want it, the next you doubt it, and the universe, obedient as always, responds in kind, with confusion, with stagnation, with inconsistent results. I learned this very clearly when I left my job with the Toronto Fire Department. At that time, I was earning little, around a few thousand US dollars each year, and I convinced myself that was the most I could ever have. One day, after reading Think and Grow Rich, something inside me shifted. I realized that if I kept doing what I'd always done, I would keep getting what I'd always gotten. So I decided. I didn't know how. I didn't have a detailed plan. I had no security whatsoever, but I decided I would never go back. This decision resonated within me like a silent command, a firm vibration, and the universe reacted almost immediately. People started to appear, ideas began to emerge, and opportunities that once seemed impossible became evident. This is what most people don't understand. The how never comes before the decision. The how is a consequence. The moment you truly decide is the moment the universe begins to rearrange the pieces of the game. While you wait for certainty, wait for guarantees, wait for someone to confirm, your energy remains scattered. Clarity is born from commitment. The road only appears after you take the first step. Think about it. How many times have you refrained from doing something out of fear of making a mistake? How many times have you doubted yourself and postponed a dream, waiting to feel ready? Readiness doesn't come before, it comes after. Because when you decide with firmness, the vibration of that decision creates a new field of possibilities. Energy aligns. The right people start finding you. Circumstances bend to your intention. Everything begins to conspire in your favor, but the decision needs to be complete. A half-hearted decision is like a flickering light switch. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. The universe needs a clear signal, and that signal doesn't come from words, it comes from the energy you sustain. To decide isn't to say I want this, it's to feel that there's no other path than this one. It's about closing the doors to doubt and walking as if your destiny is already sealed. When you make a true decision, fear might try to whisper, but it no longer has power. Doubt tries to enter but finds no room. It's like changing the radio station. The static is still there, but you're no longer tuned into it. What keeps you steady is the vibration of certainty, even if the world hasn't changed yet. And it's at this point in the journey that I want to invite you to something simple yet powerful. If what I've said so far is making sense, if something inside you is starting to vibrate differently, then take the next step. Click like and subscribe. It's not just a digital gesture, it's an energetic affirmation. It's a symbolic way of telling the universe, I choose to keep growing. I choose to expand. Energy follows intention, and this simple act of decision, even a small one, can be the beginning of a much larger vibrational shift, because every transformation begins this way, with a choice, and this choice needs to be felt, not just thought. It's when you feel something within you move, and that movement becomes the new frequency of your life. No great change happens until you decide, with body and soul, that it will happen. It's at that instant that the universe's energy bows before your determination. You don't need to know the how, you just need to choose yes. Because the universe loves the courageous, those who trust in vibration more than appearance. And when you allow yourself to take that step, when you say to yourself, I decide now, something invisible begins to work in silence, building the steps that don't yet exist, preparing the path you can't yet see. This is what differentiates those who live by inertia from those who consciously create. The ability to decide with faith before the proof. Decision is the portal between who you are and who you want to be. The instant you decide, the old begins to dissolve. Old beliefs lose their power. Fear loses its voice. Because a true decision isn't made with the mind, it's made with the soul. It's the purest vibration of, I am ready. And when the universe hears that, it moves. Always. Have you ever noticed how sometimes it feels like an invisible force is pulling you back, even when everything inside you screams for change? It's as if there's a transparent wall between where you are and where you want to be. You take a step forward, and suddenly something happens. Fear appears, doubt grows, and you're back to square one. This isn't bad luck, nor a lack of ability. This is the silent power of paradigms. They are like programs installed in your subconscious that determine how far you believe you can go. They are inherited thought patterns, beliefs repeated so often that they've become internal laws. Money is hard to come by. Success is for the few. You have to suffer to win. How many of these phrases have you heard? And worse, how many times have you acted as if they were absolute truths? These paradigms are mental vibrations you emit without realizing it. It's like background music playing constantly, even when you think you're in silence. You might say, I want to prosper, but if your internal program keeps saying, I don't deserve it, the real vibration the universe picks up is that of fear, not desire. That's why so many intelligent, talented, and hardworking people remain stuck with the same results. They change jobs, change cities, change relationships, but they remain within the same vibrational pattern. Because the real prison isn't out there, it's within. I remember when I started earning more money than I had ever imagined. I went from a modest firefighter's salary to an annual income of hundreds of thousands of US dollars. And strangely, I started feeling uncomfortable with it. There was something inside me whispering, you shouldn't be here. This is luck. It'll soon be over. And guess what? It started to end. Businesses stalled, opportunities dispersed, and my energy plummeted. At the time, I didn't understand, but today I know exactly what happened. My old paradigm didn't allow for that new level of success. It was as if my subconscious was saying, go back to your equilibrium point, where you feel safe. The problem is, our equilibrium point is rarely where we want to be. Have you ever noticed how when something good happens, a feeling of guilt sometimes arises, as if you don't deserve it? Or when a great opportunity arises, the mind immediately creates excuses. I don't have time. I don't have experience. What if it doesn't work out? All of these are defenses of the old program. The paradigm wants to protect you, but in reality, it keeps you small. It was created in a context where surviving was the most one could do. But today, what you want is to live, not just to survive. The subconscious cannot differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It only understands what is repeated with emotion. Therefore, the only way to reprogram a paradigm is through the conscious repetition of new thoughts charged with feeling. Words without emotion are just noise, but when you feel what you say, your entire body vibrates in sync with the new truth. This is how a new belief takes hold. And that's exactly what I did. Every day I would handwrite powerful phrases such as, "I am prosperous and worthy of all abundance." It wasn't about memorizing, it was about feeling. At first it felt strange, but gradually, something inside me began to shift. Have you ever heard of MC Hammer? He earned over $40 million and lost it all. Not because he was foolish or irresponsible, but because his paradigm wasn't prepared to sustain that wealth. Too much money in an unprepared vibrational system is like water in a leaky bucket. It simply won't stay. This happens every day with athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, ordinary people. They gain a lot very quickly, but lose it just as fast. On the other hand, there are those who start from nothing and build lasting fortunes because their paradigm is in harmony with abundance. It's not luck, it's frequency. Think about it. You can learn all the techniques, attend all the courses, repeat all the affirmations in the world, but if your internal paradigm continues to emit scarcity, nothing truly changes. This is why some people say, "But I'm thinking positive and it still doesn't work." Of course it doesn't work, because thought is conscious but vibration comes from the subconscious, and it's the subconscious that's in command. Real change happens when you get the conscious and subconscious to work together, when the new thought becomes a new feeling, and that feeling repeats until it becomes your new frequency. So, here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, take a notebook and write down 10 times with attention and emotion the following phrase: "I am grateful because I am now attracting opportunities aligned with my new identity of success." Don't just write it, feel it. See yourself living that reality. Imagine the sound, the smell, the touch, the sensation of being in this new state. Do this every single day, because the subconscious learns through repetition and emotion, and the more you feel, the faster the old program begins to dissolve. The truth is, no one escapes a paradigm they don't acknowledge. Awareness is the first step. The second is reprogramming. You don't need to destroy who you were. You just need to update who you are. It's like upgrading your mind's operating system. The old one said, "Work hard to have a little." The new one affirms, "Work with purpose to expand limitlessly." And when this new program installs itself, opportunities appear, doors open, and life seems to conspire in your favor. But in reality, none of this is magic. It's merely the reflection of your new vibrational state. Because life, always, without exception, gives back what you believe is possible for yourself. There are stories that seem to serve only to illustrate a universal truth. Internal vibration sustains or destroys everything you achieve. And this isn't just theory, it's a pure observation of reality. I've seen people reach the top and lose everything overnight, not because the world punished them, but because the energy sustaining their success wasn't in balance. Think of Mike Tyson, for example. An extraordinary man, possessing incredible physical strength and a talent that earned him over $400 million. But at the same time, within him, there was a vibrational field charged with anger, guilt, and self-destruction. He fought not only against opponents in the ring, but against his own inner demons. And when the inner vibration is chaotic, no fortune remains stable. Money, fame, and power became mere amplifiers of the confusion that already existed within him. That's why everything crumbled. It wasn't bad luck, it was vibration. The universe is too precise to make mistakes, It doesn't give you what you want, but what you vibrate. Abundance demands harmony, balance, an internal feeling of worthiness. When this feeling doesn't exist, even the greatest achievements become temporary. This is why so many people achieve something they've always wanted and still feel a deep emptiness. They think, but I succeeded, why do I still feel unhappy? The answer lies in the vibrational field. External success without internal expansion is unsustainable. It's like building a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. On the other hand, look at people like Oprah Winfrey. She was born into the deepest poverty, faced abuse, rejection, and scarcity. Nothing in her reality indicated that she would become one of the most influential and wealthy women on the planet. But she understood something most people ignore. External reality is merely a projection of internal frequency. Oprah vibrated gratitude when there was no reason to be grateful. She vibrated purpose when everything around her said there was no way out. And it was this vibration that began to shape the field around her, attracting the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing. She didn't chase success. She became the person that success naturally seeks out. And that is the difference between losing and sustaining what you achieve. It is the vibrational state. Think about how many times you've seen someone win the lottery and, a few years later, be worse off than before. This happens because money merely amplifies what is already present internally. If there is fear, disorganization, resentment, or guilt within, money amplifies all of that. But if there is love, balance, and purpose within, money amplifies that too. Vibration is the invisible foundation of everything. Many still believe that wealth is solely the result of effort. Effort is important, of course, but it is secondary. Effort without vibrational alignment only leads to exhaustion. The universe responds to coherence, not to force. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, everything begins to flow naturally. There is no longer struggle, only direction. This is what happens when you are tuned into your true state of abundance. And the most interesting thing is that this is measurable. Neuroscience research shows that emotions like gratitude and love expand heart and brain coherence, creating a more ordered electromagnetic field around the body. When this happens, your intuition becomes more precise, your mind more creative, and your decisions more aligned. This isn't abstract spirituality, it's physics applied to human consciousness. You literally change the field around you when you change the field within you. I remember a phase when I started being invited to international conferences, and each event seemed bigger than the last. It was incredible, but at the same time, I noticed something curious. The audience didn't react to the content, they reacted to my vibration. It was the state I was in that touched people. That's when I understood that teaching isn't speaking, it's vibrating. Words are just the vehicle, energy is the message, and the same goes for success. Money is just the messenger, but vibration is the command. Have you ever noticed how some people simply emanate something different? When they enter a room, it's as if the air shifts. Everyone wants to be near them, hear what they say, learn from them. This isn't natural charisma, it's dominant vibration. They have such a strong energetic field, so aligned with confidence and clarity, that everything around them responds. This is why some leaders transform companies, artists create movements, and entrepreneurs change entire industries. They vibrate something others only desire. Now imagine the opposite. Someone full of fear, doubt, and resentment, trying to build something great. Even if they have resources, contacts, and ideas, nothing seems to click. Results come and go, relationships fall apart, opportunities slip away. It's the same principle. Vibration cannot sustain what has not yet been balanced internally. Success, when it arrives before alignment, becomes a burden. But when it comes after expansion, it becomes a legacy. And that is the true secret of everything I've taught throughout my life. It's not what you do, it's the state in which you do it. Vibration is the silent language of the universe. It doesn't need words, promises, or justifications. It simply responds. Therefore, before chasing results, stop and feel. What are you truly vibrating right now? The fear of losing or the confidence of expanding? Because the answer will come, and it will always come in the form of experience. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is vibrational coherence in action. There is an inevitable moment that arrives for everyone who truly decides to change. It's the moment when the universe begins to test the solidity of your new vibration. And almost always, this test comes disguised as chaos. Things seem to go wrong. People pull away, opportunities disappear, and you start to think, am I really on the right path? But that's exactly when the real game begins. The universe doesn't punish you. It merely confirms whether your faith is firm enough to sustain the new level you're asking for. When you change internally, the old reality tries to resist. It wants to pull you back, wants to prove that nothing has changed. It's the vibrational echo of your old self. And if at that point you give up, everything that was about to flourish returns to the soil. It's like a seed that breaks its shell and encounters resistance in hard ground. If it recoils, it dies. But if it keeps pushing, even without seeing the light, it finally breaks through the surface and finds the sun. This is what happens with the energy of your faith. It needs to be sustained, even when everything seems the opposite of what you asked for. I have lived this many times. I remember a phase when it seemed like everything was falling apart. Projects that seemed certain simply fell apart. People drifted away, and I started to doubt myself. My mind would say, "See? You were wrong. This doesn't work." But something deep inside me told me otherwise. I remembered the law. Chaos always precedes a new level of order. So I chose to hold the vibration. And a short while later, things began to reorganize themselves in ways I never would have planned. What seemed like a loss was just a clearing. The universe was removing everything that no longer aligned with the new frequency I had chosen. How many times have you felt like you were on the verge of moving forward, and then something unexpected happened to pull you back? An unforeseen bill, an illness, a rejection, a mistake, a delay. And then the thought comes, I knew it. Nothing ever works out for me. But what you don't realize is that this is the critical point. It's the point where the universe asks, do you really want this? Do you truly trust this? Most people fail here. They interpret the test as a sign to stop, when in reality, it's an invitation to persevere. There's an ancient wisdom that says, before expansion comes contraction, which means that before anything can truly grow, something needs to adjust. The old pattern tries to survive, but it cannot coexist with the new. That's why when you start vibrating abundance, it might seem like money disappears. When you start vibrating self-love, certain people disappear. When you start vibrating purpose, your old job becomes unbearable. And that's scary, I know, but it's a good sign. It's proof that the field is shifting. Energy is precise, it doesn't fail, it doesn't make mistakes, it doesn't get confused, it only responds to what is coherent. And coherence is your ability to maintain a vibration even when there's no evidence. Faith isn't believing when everything goes right. Faith is holding the frequency when everything goes wrong. It's smiling when fear tries to take over. It's being grateful even without seeing the result. It's continuing to plant even without seeing sprouts. I remember a student who approached me saying, "Bob, I've done everything you taught me. I visualized, I felt, I wrote, I gave thanks, but nothing is happening." And I asked, "How long have you been maintaining this practice?" He replied, 2 months. I smiled and said, "So you planted a seed 60 days ago, and you're already pulling it out of the ground because you haven't seen it blossom yet?" He fell silent. And I continued, "Flowers only bloom when the gardener trusts in nature's timing. Vibration works the same way. It's not haste that manifests, it's constancy. The universe is generous, but it is precise. It doesn't give you what you want when you want it, but when your vibration becomes compatible. That's why when you start to change, the tests come. They don't come to punish you, they come to refine you. They remove what is unstable, what is incoherent, what still vibrates fear. And if you stand firm, something magical happens. Resistance transforms into momentum. What once held you back now pushes you forward. I like to say that these tests are like the final exam before graduation. They only appear when you're about to move to the next level. Life doesn't waste energy testing those who aren't ready. So, if you feel like everything is falling apart, maybe it's not the end. Maybe it's the beginning of your new version. Take a deep breath and trust. The energy you hold during the storm defines the kind of sun that will shine afterward. It's easy to maintain your vibration when everything is going well. It's hard to maintain it when things fall apart. But that's exactly when you become a creator, because a creator doesn't react to circumstances, they redefine them. And every time you choose to trust amidst doubt, to vibrate amidst chaos, to give thanks amidst scarcity, the universe takes note. They are ready. And then, what seemed like a blockage transforms into a path. Nothing happens by chance. Every apparent obstacle is a bridge in disguise, and every test is an opportunity to prove to the universe and to yourself that you are no longer the same person you once were. Perhaps there's someone close to you, a friend, a family member, someone feeling discouraged or like nothing is working out, who needs to hear exactly this message today. So share this video with them. You could be the channel the universe chose to deliver new awareness to someone. Thank you for being here, for dedicating your time to expand your mind and your vibration. Stay with me because in the next video, we'll delve even deeper into this journey of transformation and consciousness. I'll be waiting for you there.